When my biological parents found me, I was selling fried potatoes with my adoptive mother. I was famously known as the potato beauty in the university town. That day, I finally learned, my biological father was Eurasia's most handsome man, a mix of Chinese and Russian, and my biological mother is the most beautiful actress in the country, a reigning queen of the silver screen. I inherited their beauty perfectly. So, when the fake heiress Leah hypocritically said, "Poor sister, suffering in such a place, and so beautiful, there must be many men coveting her looks," I wonder, has sister ever been taken advantage of by men? No matter how many, sister can bravely speak up, and we can seek justice for you. My mother raised her hand and delivered a crisp slap. What nonsense are you spouting, father? What era is this? Still valuing chastity so highly? Let me tell you the truth. Even if Julia had a child, it would still be our own grandchild. And we bring them home to raise together. Brother, Leah, don't forget, if it weren't for your birth mother switching the babies, Julia wouldn't have suffered outside. Adoptive mother, hey, what do you mean by this kind of place? We're selling fried potatoes in the most developed city and the most famous university town in the country, not in some filthy, stinking corner like you imagine. Leah covered her face, first showing an expression of disbelief, then tears welled up in her sparkling big eyes, and she began to sob uncontrollably. I am sorry, Dad, Mom, brother, I didn't mean anything by it. Mother, don't call me Mom, I don't have a daughter like you, as ugly as your wicked nanny mother. Actually, Leah isn't unattractive. On the contrary, raised in the affluent Jones family, she's as delicate as a porcelain doll, with a head of golden, voluminous curls, perhaps to give herself some mixed-race features. She wears a pair of golden-colored contact lenses, yet, no matter how she dresses herself up, she bears no resemblance whatsoever to my parents' appearance. As for me, I not only inherited my father's deep, captivating Sino-Russian mixed eyes but also my mother's straight, high-bridged nose, with exquisite facial features and fair skin. There's not a single flaw to be found, no need for makeup, no need for expensive dresses. Just throw on a t-shirt and jeans, and stand out effortlessly among thousands with striking beauty. Father, a daughter repays her mother's debts. Leah, starting today, you'll be Julia's personal maid, serving her for 18 years. After that, get out of our Jones family. Leah was stunned. Dad, Mom, what are you saying? She began to realize that her sorrow and tears no longer seemed to evoke the sympathy and compassion of the family who once adored her. This bond of affection, devoid of blood ties, shattered completely with the arrival of their true heiress. How could this happen? Is blood relation really that important? 18 years. After 18 years of living together day and night, did they not develop even a shred of affection for her? Father ignored any trace of sorrow Leah was showing at that moment, his tone icy and harsh. Enough. If you're unwilling to go home and pack your things right now, get out of the Jones family immediately. The last glimmer of hope in Leah's heart was extinguished. She stood frozen in disbelief, looking at her mother, then her father, and finally her brother. Her eyes were filled with unfamiliarity and sorrow. Her brother snapped coldly, "What are you staring at? We brought you here deliberately to see how you'd react to Julia. How disappointing. 18 years, and we've raised an ungrateful wolf in sheep's clothing, who stole someone else's life for 18 years without a shred of gratitude." The moment she arrived, she tried to drive a wedge between us, to make us dislike Julia, our own flesh and blood. Why on earth wouldn't we love her? Leah's lips trembled as she held back tears, speaking pitifully. Brother, no, young master, I know I was wrong. I'm willing to stay and work as Julia's maid. The Jones family boasts assets worth billions, drives luxury cars, and lives in mansions. The starting salary for a maid is $20,000. And countless people vie for the chance to work as maids in wealthy households, yet few succeed. Working as a nanny in wealthy households not only offers high salaries but also broadens one's horizons. When the employer's family is happy, you might get to enjoy rare delicacies with them. During holidays, you can also receive generous gifts. Leah's biological mother has already been sent to prison. Given the Jones family's influence, she'll never get out in this lifetime. Leah's biological father was addicted to gambling, lazy, and prone to domestic violence. She certainly didn't want to leave the Jones family and fall into a living hell. Even as a nanny, she would never have to worry about food or clothing for the rest of her life. And so, I was taken back home by my biological parents, renamed Julia. Actually, I'm somewhat reluctant. Even though my biological parents are very protective of me, because my adoptive mother treats me very well. She knows I'm pretty and might attract unwanted attention from men, sent me to taekwondo classes since childhood to learn self-defense, worked from dawn to dusk selling fried potatoes to support my education, willing to be misunderstood as a shrew, protecting me every moment, never let me do dirty or heavy work, raising me fair and delicate. I only came to help her sell fried potatoes during summer and winter vacations, or on leisurely weekends. I've known since childhood that there's no blood relation between my adoptive mother and me, yet I've long regarded her as my birth mother, my only family in this world. When we parted, both our eyes were red with tears. My adoptive mother fiercely warned my biological parents, "I'm telling you, I raised Julia with my own hands. If you dare treat her the slightest bit poorly, I'll fight you to the death. And let me make this clear," she continued, to protect her. "I've endured countless hardships. Not a single man has laid a finger on her. She's still pure. Don't believe me? Take her to the hospital for examination if you dare." She glared fiercely at Leah while saying these words. Leah, feeling guilty and afraid, couldn't meet her eyes. To repay my foster mother's kindness in raising me, my parents gave her 10 million. At first, my foster mother adamantly refused. If she accepts this money, it would tarnish the mother-daughter bond between us. She raised me willingly and loved me with genuine sincerity. I urged her to take it, arguing that love is love and money is money. They shouldn't be conflated. With this money, she wouldn't have to toil day after day selling fried potatoes anymore. At my persuasion, my adoptive mother accepted the money. Before leaving, my adoptive mother had a private conversation with me. She said that wealthy families are like deep seas, advising me to be cautious and vigilant at all times. Especially Leah. Like mother, like daughter, Leah's mother was capable of such selfish and malicious acts as swapping daughters and abandoning the real heiress in a remote city, only for her to be found. Her daughter surely can't be any better. From the very first sentence Leah spoke when we met, falsely accusing me of losing my innocence, it was clear she wanted her biological parents to doubt and despise me. This woman's scheming is unfathomable, and yet the Jones couple still tolerates someone like her staying in the Jones household. Perhaps they still harbor a shred of affection for her. I nodded, keeping her advice firmly in mind. My foster mother was a very pitiful divorced single woman who had weathered many storms. Together with her, I witnessed numerous dark moments of human nature and came to understand its complexity. Maintaining vigilance at all times never hurts oneself. The car that came to pick me up was a gleaming Rolls-Royce. Seeing my plain attire, my mother first took me to the mall to buy clothes. In the high-end luxury stores, I could freely choose from clothes costing thousands. I didn't hold back either, buying whatever I wanted. After all, I was their biological daughter. When parents want to spoil their child, accepting it happily naturally brings us closer. Leah quickly slipped into the role of a nanny, meek and submissive, always wearing a smile. Yet she seized every opportunity to sow discord between me and my biological parents. I thought Miss Julia, having lived an ordinary life for so long, would find sudden wealth and extravagant spending quite astonishing or awkward, perhaps even eye-opening, yet she remains so composed and generous. Truly, those born into wealth, no matter the circumstances, carry noble blood in their bones. Their hearts forever yearning for a life of luxury. It means I'm spoiled, pampered, and vain, yes. I appeared too composed, from meeting my biological parents without showing any emotional turmoil, to riding in an expensive luxury car, and then walking into high-end boutiques that most ordinary people wouldn't dare approach in their lifetime. I didn't look around curiously at this or that. Instead, I carried myself with ease and confidence, even giving off an air of natural entitlement. So what? This is just who I am. I won't rack my brains pretending to be something I'm not just to please anyone. If my biological parents can accept me, fine. If not, I'll walk away. Wealth and glory, I can strive for them through my own efforts. I was about to retort to Leah. Mother spoke first, visibly displeased. Leah, what do you mean by that? Who in this world doesn't aspire to wealth and glory? Julia has a face that could topple cities and kingdoms. She deserves every beautiful thing this world has to offer. We're happy to spend on her. What business is it of yours? Besides, her personality suits me perfectly. A woman should be confident and poised, calm and composed, with just a touch of alluring aloofness and detachment. Father warned her, Leah, if you can't control that mouth of yours, pack your things and get out of the Jones family. Her brother rolled his eyes at her. Stop nagging. Leah froze, her large, watery eyes once again brimming with tears. It was as if her beloved glass marbles had shattered across the floor, her gaze filled with brokenness. Endless pain and sorrow. I completely understand how she must be feeling right now. From a pampered heiress adored by all, she had fallen to become a mere servant, subjected to casual insults from parents who once cradled her in their palms. In order to survive, I had no choice but to lower my head humbly and ingratiate myself. Life took a drastic turn for the worse, and anyone would find it unbearable, yet, everything was her own doing, if she had been a good person. Without harboring jealousy and hostility toward me from the very beginning until now, perhaps both my biological parents and I would have accepted her. Returning home, Leah's 80-square-meter princess room was returned to its rightful owner. She packed her own belongings and moved into the dark, cramped maid's room. Leah dared not speak recklessly anymore. She changed tactics, attempting to rekindle my parents' and brother's love for her through emotional appeals. She rummaged through the drawer and pulled out a photo album, flipping through page after page, photos of her growing up, posing with every member of the Jones family. Before I came along, everyone adored her, and her smile was so radiant. Large teardrops kept falling onto the album. Leah's quiet sobs gradually turned into loud, heart-wrenching cries as she clutched the album tightly. She seemed truly heartbroken. I was thinking that the three people in the house would at least comfort her a little. Wouldn't they? Unexpectedly, my mother impatiently snapped, "Enough already, you're not our biological daughter anyway. Crying your eyes out won't change a thing." My brother mocked, "Don't pretend to be the victim when you've gained so much. Everything in this house combined is worth 100 million. If we weren't disgusted by the fact that you've used them and didn't want them back, you'd have nothing left," my father sneered. "Your birth mother risked everything to switch babies for your sake, made such a huge sacrifice, yet we've never seen you shed a tear for her, let alone visit her in prison. If even the closest people are so indifferent, let alone those not close to us, whether these tears are genuine or not is truly worth pondering." Leah froze instantly, sitting numbly on the ground in complete shock. Perhaps she hadn't expected the Jones family to be so clear-headed, so meticulous. Their cold-blooded exposure left her speechless and guilty, or perhaps she deeply realized that no matter how hard she tried, there was no going back. Utterly despairing and broken, after a while, it seemed she had accepted the harsh reality. Leah wiped away her tears and became unusually docile. She nodded respectfully toward us and said softly, "Understood, President Jones, Madam, young master, young miss. I'll move out as soon as possible." Then, without another word, she efficiently packed her belongings. Having never done manual labor before, Leah was already drenched in sweat and panting heavily after just 2 trips. She tried to plead for help with pitiful eyes. Her parents and brother ignored her, taking me to stroll around the garden. After the garden visit, we went to an upscale restaurant outside for dinner, followed by some shopping where they bought me many things. Gradually, I integrated into this big family that genuinely accepted and loved me. Relaxing and immersing myself in their warm harbor, we returned home chatting and laughing, only to find Leah had already moved her things and was exhausted, fast asleep in the nanny's room. Sitting on the sofa, father and mother discussed contacting the media to announce that I am the true heiress of the Jones family, while Leah is the fake daughter swapped by a malicious nanny. Just then, Leah woke up and overheard their conversation. She rushed over in a panic, knelt on the floor, and cried pitifully, "Mr. Jones, Madam, the baby swapping incident back then was entirely my mother's doing. If I had been aware, I would never have stolen someone else's life against my conscience. Considering you've raised me for 18 years, could you please not say it was a swap? Just say it was a mistake at the hospital, an accidental mix-up. I am innocent. I don't want to be dragged down by my mother or hated by everyone, please." Her crying was pitiful and genuine. I thought to myself, if my parents had even a shred of mercy, they might grant her plea. Unexpectedly, every word they spoke was like a sharp blade, piercing deeply into Leah's heart. "Father, Leah, the only reason we're allowing you to stay with the Jones family is out of some residual affection after raising you for 18 years, otherwise you'd already be back with your gambling-addicted, abusive biological father. Mother, do you know why we're leaving you items worth 100 million in your room? We just want to see what you'll do after getting this fortune." Any normal person, knowing no one in this family loves them anymore, would have taken the 100 million and left long ago. Why insist on staying here as a serval maid, groveling and ingratiating yourself? You're clearly scheming something. Leah shuddered violently and stopped crying. She hurriedly lowered her head, not daring to let us see the exposed fear overflowing in her eyes. I look at my mom and dad and realize how clear-headed and intelligent they truly are. They inspire both awe and affection. Father rapped his knuckles on the coffee table, growing more distressed and furious as he spoke. What gives you the right to make us consider this and that for a fake daughter we mistakenly loved for 18 years? Raising someone else's child for 18 years, someone who has no relation to us at all. The facts are what they are, and the media should report them exactly as they happened. We'll even tell the press we gave you 100 million, that you willingly chose to stay as a nanny to atone for your birth mother's mistakes. We've gone so far as to consider this solution for you. What more could you possibly want? The mother continued. Yes. If we do as you suggested and tell everyone you were switched at birth in the hospital, but you're still the daughter we've raised for 18 years, how would it look if we heartlessly made you work as a nanny? What would people think of us? Leah, looking ashamed, knelt on the ground and bowed deeply. I'm sorry, Mr. Jones, madam. Leah was foolish and didn't understand your good intentions. Leah knows she was wrong. The mother sighed. You may go. Leah stood up and left. Her silhouette was etched with loneliness and defeat, yet in my eyes, she resembled a resilient blade of grass stubbornly growing through cracks, enduring, unyielding, refusing to surrender. Perhaps one day silently, she would rise from the ashes reborn. I don't understand why my parents still let her stay at the Jones house when they clearly know her intentions are impure. I don't dare to ask, because I've just arrived in this family and don't know if I have a say in household matters. Even though they treat me very well, I'm not the type of person who seeks answers from others' mouths whenever I encounter a problem. Isn't it also a joy in life to quietly observe and find answers yourself rather than asking others? The next morning when I woke up, I received a text message. I heard you're the heiress of the Jones family. Congratulations on gaining stronger backing. I raised a warm smile and replied to the message. Thank you. I will remember you forever. The other person. Happy, grinning, emoji. I put down my phone, got up to wash, and went downstairs for breakfast. Leah was dressed in a maid outfit, serving us food alongside the other maids. After finishing her tasks, Leah stood before my parents, bowing deeply at a 90-degree angle with joy and excitement. Mr. Jones, madam, thank you. I saw last night's trending topics. No one disliked me because of my mother. Instead, they praised me for being kind, filial, and strong. From a noble young lady to a hard-working nanny, her attitude is truly admirable and worth learning from. She turned to look at me, smiling as beautifully as a flower. Miss Julia is very beautiful, and netizens adore you. They've been wildly sharing the stunning photos Mr. and Mrs. Jones took of you, even crowning you with the title, the beauty seen once in 5,000 years. Her smile was so genuine that not a single flaw could be detected. It seems she has come to terms with her situation and begun to love life, embracing it wholeheartedly, cheerful, lively, and adorable, making people gradually grow fond of her. I smiled and nodded at her. The doorbell rang. Leah went to open the door. Seeing the person standing outside, she exclaimed in surprise, "Grandpa." The next second, realizing she had lost her composure, she quickly lowered her head and stepped aside. "Master," her hands resting on her abdomen were clenched tightly in tension. At this moment, it was still evident how much she truly wished someone in this family would remember her, would care about her. Contrary to her hopes, the kind elderly man merely nodded slightly in her direction. He walked straight toward me, pulling me to my feet. His smile was gentle and affectionate, his eyes even glistening with a few heartfelt tears of sympathy. "You bear some resemblance to your grandmother. This is what a child of our Jones family should look like, my child. You've suffered so much out there." We sat down to eat together, and soon the kitchen was filled with laughter and cheerful voices. Leah stood to the side, her expression quite a sight to behold. "My grandfather is Russian and married into my Chinese grandmother's family. He loved my grandmother deeply, even though she passed away many years ago. He still carries the pocket watch she gave him. Seeing that I resemble my grandmother makes him happy, excited, and sad all at once. A few comforting words from me, and he becomes as joyful as a child again." Grandpa suggested holding a welcoming banquet to let everyone in their circle see with their own eyes that he had a granddaughter as beautiful as a fairy. I wasn't too keen on the idea. I really dislike being put on display like a vase sometimes, appearing in crowded places just to be admired. But seeing how the elderly man, well over 70, genuinely adored me from the bottom of his heart, I didn't want to spoil his excitement and silently agreed to their decision. After dinner, Leah was washing dishes in the kitchen, very diligent, no complaints, no emotions. She concealed all the 7 emotions and 6 desires that humans should have beneath the surface, making her seem silent and sensible while also remaining enigmatic. Often in life, such people are the most frightening. I must be extremely careful. On the day of the banquet, I wore the custom-made haute couture gown worth millions that my mother had tailored for me, paired with jewelry in matching tones. The moment I opened the door and stepped into the venue, the previously bustling scene fell completely silent. Everyone turned around, their gazes fixed on me. I have the same tall and enchanting figure as my mother, along with an angelic face that blends the best of both my father and mother. They were shocked, amazed, and filled with admiration. Many gazes were pure, simply brimming with appreciation, yet there were also those whose faces uncontrollably revealed greed, lust, excitement, and desire, every craving written plainly for all to see. It's really annoying. Since childhood, I've seen too many people like this. Because of these people, I've suffered a lot, leaving me with shadows and painful memories. Sometimes, I really hate being born so beautiful. If only I were average looking, life wouldn't be so hard. With a forced smile on my face, I was introduced by my parents to each of their good friends. Their eyes sparkled brightly as they looked at me. Inside, I felt miserable and pathetic. No one cared about my personality or inner self. Just by looking at my face, they couldn't stop gushing with exaggerated praise. That evening, my parents made many new friends and secured numerous projects. On the way home, sitting together in the car, they couldn't stop smiling. They said that from now on, no matter what projects or collaborations came up, as long as they brought me along, there would be no deal they couldn't close. I felt somewhat unhappy and silently gazed out the window without saying a word. Mother asked me what was wrong. I turned to look at her with aggrieved eyes and tentatively asked, "Would you exploit my beauty to gain benefits?" They were stunned for a moment, then flusteredly apologized and explained to me. Father said, "Sorry, Julia. We didn't consider your feelings. We'll definitely ask for your opinion beforehand, and we'll never force you if you're unwilling." My mother held my hand and spoke earnestly. "Julia, I can see that because you're so beautiful, you've had the same troubles we once experienced. When your father and I were young, he was Asia's most handsome man, and I was China's top beauty queen. We had countless suitors and endured endless harassment. It wasn't until we married and had children that life finally settled down." My father also chimed in with solemn advice. "Since beauty is an advantage, we must learn to use it to accumulate wealth and status. Once you become strong enough, no one will dare harass you." As she spoke, my mother grew distressed. "Julia, you must have suffered a lot in the past and built up defenses. That's why you haven't fully accepted us as your parents yet and aren't willing to share your true feelings with us. We are family. If you have anything to say or anything on your mind, you can always talk to us directly." Yes, they're so smart. How could they not have noticed? Her nose tingled with emotion, and tears streamed uncontrollably down her face. "I'm sorry, Dad, Mom, My mother pulled me into her warm, fragrant embrace and gently patted my shoulder. "It's okay. You'll always be our most beloved daughter. We'll wait for you patiently." In the evening, I texted my adoptive mother to share the good news. My birth parents treated me very well and even taught me lessons she had once taught me too. My adoptive mother sent me heartfelt blessings. "That's great. Julia has strong parental protection now. I can rest assured. Be happy. I'll visit you often, with so many people loving me." I'm very happy. At night, however, I had a nightmare. In the dream, the surroundings were eerie, dark, and terrifying. At one moment, it was the foster father's outstretched hand, more dreadful than a bear's paw. At another, it was the schoolyard bullies blocking my path into an alley, snarling and menacing. Then, it was the lecherous men and creepy old men on the street watching me make inappropriate gestures with my hands in my pants. One moment it's the overweight neighbor trying to forcibly drag me into his house. The next, it's the hypocritical bespectacled teacher who keeps me alone in the classroom under the pretense of tutoring, pressing down on me as he tries to tear my clothes. Each time, I either had someone noble come to my rescue or managed to escape danger using my self-defense skills. Until the last time, when I was no match for that teacher. He had also practiced martial arts. A young man rushed in and grappled with him. The two fell from the 5th-floor window. I cried out and sat up in bed, breathing heavily. Sweat soaked my pajamas. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Leah stood outside the door and said respectfully, "Miss Julia, are you awake?" "May we come in?" I pulled a tissue from the nightstand, wiped the sweat from my forehead, composed myself, and said, "Come in." Leah and the other maids entered, carrying piles of gift boxes and bags. Ever since the banquet ended, many wealthy young masters had fallen for me at first sight and launched fierce pursuits, sending me expensive gifts one after another. Leah walked over holding a cardboard box full of letters. "Miss, these are love letters written to you. Would you like to take a look?" I glanced at them absent-mindedly. "No need, please help me return the gifts." Leah coaxed me playfully. "Miss, just take a peek. Maybe there's someone you like inside. Something's fishy." I looked up and demanded, "Why must I read this?" Leah flinched momentarily, avoiding my gaze before quickly regaining her composure. She stammered an explanation. "When I was still Miss Jones, I knew many young gentlemen friends. They begged me to deliver these letters to you personally. After all, we were friends. I wanted to help them. I'm sorry, miss. If you truly dislike this, I'll return everything to them immediately." Now I was curious to see what kind of friends she wanted to introduce. Changing my mind, I said, "Leave everything here. I'll look through them before deciding." Leah smiled, put down the things with the nanny, and then left. I sat on the bed, flipping through the letters in the box. It was laughable to find that they were either men with worse conditions than the young master of the Jones family, or men with better conditions but in their 30s, 40s, or 50s, gentlemen with either good or questionable reputations, or perhaps with appearances that were somewhat peculiar. So this girl had been well behaved for so long that she almost made people think she had changed for the better, but now she couldn't resist stirring up trouble again. After breakfast, Mom and Dad went out to work, and my older brother, who's a junior in college, went out to hang with friends. I sat alone in the living room reading a magazine. Leah leaned closer and timidly asked, "Miss, have you taken a liking to any of the young masters?" I turned a page and asked bluntly, "Who are you trying to set me up with?" Leah quickly waved her hands. No, I don't." I remained silent. Leah then gently asked me, "Miss, what type do you like?" "What kind do I like?" I froze for a moment, and the image and voice of a young man involuntarily surfaced in my mind. I quickly regained my composure and asked bluntly again, "Who are you helping to learn about me?" She denied it once more. After a while, seeing how cold and difficult I was, Leah slowly walked away. In the afternoon, my brother came back. He brought back a friend. I recognized him at first glance. It was the day of the banquet. The moment he appeared and asked me to dance, everyone else retreated timidly, with family background and reputation far surpassing the rest. He was Simon, the young master of the Watson family. Unlike other men, Simon didn't like me, or rather, he was more like a Sigma male who hadn't yet awakened to romance, showing no interest in any woman, aloof and distant. That day, it was because my brother saw me surrounded by so many men, looking embarrassed, and begged Simon to step in and rescue me, because she was his friend's sister. Simon reluctantly agreed, but when we held hands, his arm around my waist, mine resting on his shoulder, an electric current surged through our bodies, gazing into each other's clear, beautiful eyes. We danced an inexplicably harmonious waltz. In silence, our heartbeats quickened, and youthful blushes tinted our cheeks. My brother seemed intent on playing matchmaker, inviting me to join them for gaming sessions. I don't know how to play video games. From childhood to adulthood, I've never been exposed to gaming. What I used to do every day was study hard and strive to live well. I longed to stand out and change my living circumstances, cherish every minute, not daring to waste even a little time being lazy, cultivating hobbies, or playing games. Now, perhaps I can relax a little, forget the past, try meeting new people and things. There might be new surprises and gains. They gently and patiently taught me how to play games. They wouldn't scold me for being clumsy, nor blame me for dying countless times and holding them back. After finishing the game, my brother treated us to dinner. Right after ordering, my brother said he had a stomachache and went to the restroom. He never came back, leaving me alone with Simon. Simon took the initiative to chat with me, took me shopping after dinner, played claw machines to cheer me up, and bought me expensive gifts. He showed me that even a cold Sigma male can smile, be gentle, and talkative when he meets the girl he likes. He cared for me as delicately as a cotton candy, unwilling to see me suffer even the slightest harm. So, when Simon confessed his feelings to me within less than a month of knowing each other, I agreed without hesitation. The main reason was that, as my suitors gradually increased, piles of flowers and gifts accumulated at my doorstep. People come knocking on our door every day proposing marriage alliances, even going to my parents' company to talk to them, severely disrupting their daily work and lives. I urgently need an intimidating family background to solve our problems, and Simon happens to be the perfect fit. I admit, from the very beginning, my intentions weren't pure. I approached him precisely because of his family background. It just so happens that he likes me, and I'm quite fond of him too, so why not? Sure enough, on the day we made it official, the flowers and gifts at the door decreased. No one dared to come proposing anymore. On the day we announced our relationship, after having dinner with Simon and returning home, I received a text message. Congratulations, he's perfect for you and can protect you better. My heart ached faintly. Overwhelmed with guilt, I edited a text message and sent it. I'm sorry. In the next life, I'll be your bride. Then, I transferred 5 million to him. At first, like my adoptive mother, he firmly refused. I told him that if he didn't accept it, I would live with guilt for the rest of my life. Only then did he take it. He asked, the college entrance exam scores are out. I applied to a university. What about you? I smiled brightly, happy for him. A few seconds later, the smile faded from my cheeks as I replied, might study abroad. He responded with, Perhaps there was still some regret and sadness lingering. I didn't reply to the message again. Returning to my room, I lay on the bed, covering my forehead with the back of my hand, staring at the ceiling, lost in a wave of sorrowful memories. Once, there was someone like Simon who didn't fall for me because of my beauty but came to love me after spending time together and getting to know my personality and inner self. He discovered that I was a hardworking, ambitious, kind, and strong girl, and was genuinely drawn to me. To protect me, he fought with a male teacher who tried to bully me, fell out of a window, and broke his leg, becoming disabled and needing a cane to walk. He harbored no regrets and even threatened his own life to stop his parents from causing trouble for me at school or demanding compensation. Do everything possible to protect me. I made a promise with him to get into a university together. But now, I've become the daughter of a wealthy family, while he's just an ordinary kid from a modest background. If I stay with him, given all these wealthy young suitors pursuing me now, he wouldn't survive. I'm sorry. Tears streamed down the corners of my eyes as I could only keep apologizing silently in my heart. When the weak still have no space to survive, they can only grow by attaching themselves to the strong first. In the study, I was reading attentively. Leah brought over a cup of coffee and teased, Miss, you're already a wealthy heiress, yet still working so hard. I twirled the pen in my hand, murmured a faint, and continued reading attentively. One cannot rely on parents and a husband forever. What truly empowers oneself is always the knowledge stored in one's mind, and the wealth and status one creates for oneself. Leah carefully handed over a letter and a necklace placed in an exquisite gift box. Miss, the young master from the Lincoln family has sent you another gift. He said that if he cannot be with you in this lifetime, he would rather remain unmarried forever. Sigh, how deeply affectionate. If I were you, miss, I would definitely choose him. I couldn't help but scoff as I watched her act with such deep emotion. The young master of the Lincoln family he mentioned was quite handsome, but alas, not only was he far inferior to the Watsons, he was even slightly weaker than the Joneses, neither possessing the formidable strength of the Watson family, nor their terrifying reputation that strikes fear into hearts. Miss, the Watson family is so fearsome. Aren't you worried about suffering hardships if you marry into them? Had I not met members of the Watson family, I might have believed they were all as eccentric, ruthless, and deadly as the rumors suggest. All those fierce rumors are merely their means of self-protection. Miss, I snapped impatiently. Are you done? If so, get out, and take your coffee with you. Leah pouted aggrievedly, closed her mouth, and gracefully walked away with her coffee. I knew she was still jealous and didn't want me to marry well. Before Simon and I made our relationship public, she kept praising all sorts of unattractive men in front of me. On the day Simon and I announced our relationship, I finally saw the look on her face, uncontrollable shock, poorly concealed bitterness, subtly gritted teeth, an absolutely priceless expression. Oh, old habits die hard. After meeting each other's parents, Simon and I got engaged. At the engagement banquet, I was changing into my dress in the room, due to a minor incident on the way. The seams of the dress came loose and tore when I put it on. The new dress was delivered by Leah. Help me put on the dress. Leah stared at my reflection in the mirror with an ambiguous smile. Miss looks especially beautiful today. I nodded and patted my skirt. Indeed, as long as one is naturally beautiful, anything looks good. Her smile vanished instantly, only to return a second later. "Miss, I need to use the restroom urgently." She hurried out of the room. The next second, a man opened the door and walked in. "Miss Julia, I really like you so much. Just once, give me a chance. Even if I can't marry you in this lifetime, I'll be completely satisfied." The young master of the Lincoln family made his heartfelt confession while licking his lips and approaching. The expression on his face was indescribably disgusting. Tears welled up in my eyes as I pretended to be fragile, retreating in fear. "Don't come any closer." He got even more excited, pouncing like a wild beast. In an instant, my expression turned icy cold. I raised my fists, left hook, right hook, then lifted my leg for a kick before flipping him over my shoulder. I knocked him to the ground, clutching his crotch. He curled up in pain, howling miserably. I might never be able to touch a woman again, nor have the ability to reproduce. I curled my lips and shook my hand. No one knew yet that I, Julia, knew self-defense, and that I struck with brutal force. Once today's news spreads, I'll have a reputation that strikes fear into hearts. The parents brought the police and arrested Julia and the young master of the Lincoln family. The speed was so fast that their pale faces showed suspicion. Had their plan been exposed long ago? Yes, it had indeed been exposed long ago. Just last night, my mother came to my room and whispered with me. She confessed to me that the reason they kept Leah at the Jones house was to conveniently monitor her every move. If they had driven Leah out of the Jones house, a pampered and well-off young lady suddenly plunged into hell would undoubtedly struggle psychologically, harboring thoughts of hatred and potentially committing extreme acts that could threaten my life. Therefore, keeping her there and assigning someone to watch her ensures that any suspicious actions could be promptly intercepted. Moreover, there would be evidence to send her to prison, condemning her to a lifetime behind bars. My mother told me that Leah tampered with my skirt, and today during the outing, my skirt would tear. Leah will bring clothes over and then take the opportunity to lock the Lincoln family's young master in my room. She'll go to the media to expose me and ruin my reputation. The Watson family will break off the engagement due to my impropriety, allowing the Lincoln family's young master to win the beauty's hand. Perhaps I'll even be hated by everyone, including my parents and brother, so she can return to the Jones family. She's really wishful thinking. Even if my parents hadn't done these things for me, with my skills, any young master who comes in today, as long as they haven't practiced martial arts, could be easily beaten to death. "You're despicable and shameless." Leah was taken away by the police, crying with both anger and sorrow. I never expected that my parents, who once loved me deeply, would distrust me so much and go to such lengths to protect their own flesh and blood. She was consumed with envy and hatred. "Ha ha ha, Julia, your parents are terrifying. They only love you because you're pretty. Just try getting your face injured once. They'll throw you away like a dirty rag." At the end of the hallway, Leah made one last desperate attempt, laughing loudly while trying to sow discord. Mother came over and took my hand. "Julia, don't worry. We love you not because of your beauty, but because you are our closest family. Father, time will prove everything for us." No need for proof anymore. I get it now. Tears of emotion welled up in my eyes as I threw myself into their steady embrace. It turns out that what allowed me to coast through life was never my looks, but rather the genuine bond of blood thicker than water that came from them. After graduating from university, I married Simon. At the wedding venue, I seemed to see someone. He stood in the corner, gazing at me with deep affection. His eyes were filled with reluctance and the sorrow of unrequited love. Yet, a smile of blessing curled at the corners of his lips. Seeing me happy, he too found happiness. After an unknown amount of time, leaning on his cane, he limped away and disappeared into the white light. I have completely bid farewell to the past. Goodbye, Shenyensi. I have a Simon who loves me very, very much, and I hope you can meet another her soon. Wishing you peace and well-being. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. I am the long-lost true heiress of the Upton family. In my past life, after the Upton family found me, they refused to let me enter their home for fear of upsetting the fake heiress. In the end, they even allowed the fake heiress to burn me to death, before my body had even cooled. My birth parents and brother had already signed the letter of forgiveness, as my family. They lightly forgave the murderer on my behalf. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn, returning to the first day I was found by the Upton family. "Pearl, we've finally found you. We are your biological parents." Mrs. Upton handed me a paternity test. holding my hand with tears in her eyes. I looked down at my unharmed hands, unable to believe that rebirth had truly happened to me, just a moment ago. I was engulfed in flames, my body burned to ashes without a trace left. Overwhelming joy moistened my eyes slightly. Mom and Dad promise you, from now on, you'll be the heiress of the Upton family. We'll never let you suffer even the slightest harm. And what do you plan to do with the fake heiress? I asked coldly, looking at these blood relatives before me. I recalled the scene from my past life when I was found by the Upton family. Even though they acted full of guilt and pity for me, once the fake heiress cried, they still didn't truly let me return to the Upton family. The Upton couple fell silent, unsure how to answer my question. I counted silently in my heart. 3, 2, 1. Oh no, Mia has slit her wrists, George shouted. Sure enough, it's this trick again, just like in the previous life. Mia, the girl who stole my identity for years, slit her wrists on my first day home to show her rejection of me. The Uptons immediately abandoned me, who had just returned home, to comfort their fake heiress. I did nothing wrong, yet I became the villain in their eyes, the schemer who drove the Upton heiress to suicide right after coming home. The wound on Mia's wrist was less than 2 centimeters long. The Upton family called 2 private doctors, and everyone gathered in her bedroom. The Upton household was bustling with activity, but no one remembered me returning home on the first day, in my past life. I thought Mia was unsettled by my arrival. To comfort her, I went to her bedroom and assured her that I wouldn't take her parents away from her. Under everyone's reproachful gazes, I agreed to move out until she truly accepted me. Only later did I realize that this wrist-cutting incident had been planned long ago, all to prevent me from entering the Upton family's home, and the mastermind behind it was none other than my own elder brother. He feared my arrival would threaten the sister he had doted on for 18 years, so he deliberately orchestrated my departure from the Upton family. I withdrew my gaze from Mia's bedroom, unwilling to witness this hypocritical and clumsy performance. I opened the faded school bag beside me. Might as well do a couple more practice tests with this time, reborn at this point in time, with half a year left until the college entrance exam. I have ample opportunity to make up for the regret of missing it in my past life. After finishing a physics test paper, the Upton family finally remembered someone like me existed. Their attention was all on Mia, leaving no time for me, so they just sent George to handle my arrangements. Pearl, I'm your brother. He gave me a gentle smile, warm like the sun. If I didn't have memories from my past life, I might have been fooled by his concerned demeanor, thinking he genuinely cared for me. Oh. I looked up and gave him a glance. Mia is really too immature, causing such a scene on your first day back. I'll make sure to scold her properly later. I looked at him with icy eyes. How ridiculous. Wasn't he the mastermind behind this whole scheme? He had even notified the family doctor in advance, fearing Mia might actually get hurt. Before, she was the only daughter of the Upton family, spoiled rotten by our parents. Now that you're back, she's just throwing a childish tantrum because she can't accept it. Though the words sounded reproachful, his tone was dripping with indulgence. If I weren't Upton's biological daughter, I'd still be genuinely happy for Mia from the bottom of my heart. She has such doting family members. Pearl, could you two live separately until Mia accepts you? Is she moving out? I deliberately pretended not to understand George's hint. Enjoying the shifting expressions on his face, he paused awkwardly. Mia has always lived in this house. She's delicate by nature. Moving out would upset her. Can you move out first? Afraid I wouldn't accept. He quickly added, don't worry, I promise you this is only temporary. I'll do my best to teach Mia and make her accept you as soon as possible. Okay, I agreed immediately before he could finish. A flicker of confusion crossed George's eyes. He had expected me to cry and refuse, especially since this was my first day reunited with long-lost family. In my previous life, that's exactly what I did. After Mia slit her wrists, I was blamed by everyone in the Upton family. The servants whispered behind my back, saying that I had nearly caused a death right after returning and shouldn't have been brought back. I had no choice but to endure all the grievances and agree to move out first. Except for holidays like Spring Festival, I wasn't welcome to enter the house, until the day I was burned to death. The Upton family never mentioned taking me back home. Where do you plan to have me stay? I stuffed the test papers into my bag and stood up without hesitation. Pearl, aren't you upset? George pressed his lips together, his tone filled with guilt. Today was supposed to be your first day home. We should have been celebrating properly to welcome you back. But Mia ruined everything. Now we have to make you move out. I sneered inwardly. So he did know how much I'd been looking forward to reuniting with my birth parents, Didn't you say, brother, that once you've taught Mia well and made her accept me, you'd bring me back home? I squeezed out a few tears, looking at him with grievance. Could it be that you and Mia would deliberately refuse to accept me and not let me come home? Oh, of course not. He lowered his head guiltily. I was taken by the driver to another residential area owned by the Upton family. Before leaving, George added me on WeChat and transferred me 50,000 yuan. I stared at the balance in my WeChat, my eyes gleaming. In my past life, I didn't have these 50,000 yuan. The Upton family's attention was all on their fake heiress, eager to have the driver send me away. No one noticed that I was only wearing a thin coat in the freezing winter, nor did they see my hands, red from the cold, lying on the apartment's large bed. I truly couldn't understand why my past self cried all night after being sent here, thinking I was some pitiful creature abandoned by everyone. Opening the shopping app, I paid off the remaining installments for the 30 yuan cotton coat that was split into 24 payments at once, and ordered myself a few sturdy down jackets. How wonderful, I can finally stay warm this winter. I opened my worn-out suitcase, took out the practice problems inside, and completed a set of math test papers. Not a single day of studying can be slacked off. Fortunately, even after a lifetime, these exercises remain familiar in my mind. I could score 140 out of 150 full marks. The chilblains on my hands began to itch, soaking them in hot water. I couldn't help but think of my worthless parents. Mia Gu and I were born in the same hospital. How could a mix-up happen when the general ward and the VIP ward were so far apart? How laughable. Mia took my place and became the Upton family's heiress. I was abandoned by Mia's biological mother at an orphanage, barely scraping together tuition by working odd jobs and scavenging trash, until I turned 18, when the Upton family's butler found me and said I was the real heiress mistakenly switched at birth, ready to take me home. Having grown up in an orphanage, I longed for familial love and followed the butler home with eager anticipation. In my past life, I tried desperately to please the Uptons. Wanting to be loved like Mia, my mother is the lead dance officer and wouldn't allow her own daughter to lack artistic talent, so I forced myself to practice dancing, which I wasn't good at, until my toes bled countless times. The fake heiress put razor blades in my dance shoes, leaving me permanently disabled. Yet when Mia shed a few tears, the Upton family pressured me to let it go. Mia escalated her cruelty, setting a massive fire that burned me to death. After death, my soul hovered midair. Witnessing with my own eyes as these relatives of mine signed the letter of forgiveness, I closed my eyes, unwilling to recall any more. Reborn at 18, aside from my hatred for the Upton family, I wanted even more to make up for the regrets of my past life. In this life, I only want to live for myself, no longer seeking to please anyone. At 18, Pearl was too weak. She had to find every possible way to avoid freezing and starving. The next day, the driver took me to the Upton residence. Before I could even enter, Teddy suddenly rushed out and viciously bit my hand. If it were any other part of my body, I would have just shaken it off, but it had to be my right hand. I couldn't allow any accidents to happen. I grabbed the dog's head, slammed it to the ground, and kicked it over and over again. Only afterward did I realize that was Mia's beloved dog. Woo-woo, Mom, Dad. The doctor said Ball might become paralyzed. Mia shed tears pitifully, glancing at me nearby. Sister, how could you be so cruel? That was a gift from brother. The servants were quick to read the room. Seeing I wasn't valued, they merely placed the first aid kit in front of me. No one offered to treat my wounds. While I bandaged myself, the entire Upton family was busy comforting their little princess. George walked over and said, Pearl, you've gone too far. Mia has raised Ball for many years. There was no need for you to kill it. You're truly heartless, nothing like the child I gave birth to. Mrs. Upton frowned at me, convinced that growing up in an orphanage had filled me with bad habits. I must have wanted to deliberately get back at Mia by trying to kill her beloved dog. It's true that you and Mia were switched at birth, but that wasn't Mia's fault. She doesn't owe you anything. I looked at the Upton family with cold indifference in my eyes. If the owner hadn't trained that dog, how could it have suddenly rushed out and attacked me? Yet the Uptons couldn't even see through such an idiotic trick. Blind fools with no sense. But this is actually an opportunity for me. I'm sorry, I didn't know this was Mia's beloved puppy. I should have obediently let it bite me without resistance, even if it killed me. I tried hard to squeeze out tears. The scene fell silent instantly. The Upton family also realized that Ball was trained. It wouldn't attack someone unprovoked unless someone had instructed it to. I glanced at the instigator, Mia, whose face was filled with guilt. George stood in front of Mia. Ball has mental issues and bites people randomly. You don't need to blame yourself. I tried my best to feign a guilty expression. I was so scared when I saw Ball today. It reminded me of when I was bitten by a dog as a child. You were bitten by a dog, Mrs. Upton was slightly startled. I grew up in an orphanage as a child. I couldn't compete with the older kids for food and often went hungry, so I had to snatch food from dogs. I was bitten a few times, which is why I instinctively panic when I see Mia's dog. I wiped away non-existent tears from the corner of my eye. I'm sorry, Mia, when Ball bit me, I should have restrained myself. Hearing my words, Mrs. Upton's eyes flickered with heartache and guilt. Mr. Upton spoke up. This dog is disobedient. Even after it recovers, don't bring it back. If you like dogs, get another one, Daddy. Ball was a gift from brother, Mia tried to plead, but Mr. Upton gave her a cold look. She ran away crying. After lunch, the Upton family began discussing whether I should stay or leave. Upon learning about my unfortunate childhood experiences, Mrs. Upton softened her stance. Pearl, your brother will help you pack your things later. Mom has already prepared a princess room for you. I shuddered. This was not the outcome I wanted at all. Fortunately, Mia threw a tantrum upon hearing this, crying, making a scene, and even threatening to harm herself. I'm not the real daughter of the Upton family. As soon as my sister moves back, I'll move out of the Upton house immediately. I'll go pack my things right now. I don't deserve to live here. She ran away crying, and a group of people went to comfort her. Seeing the daughter she had cherished for 18 years in tears, Mrs. Upton immediately changed her mind. Pearl, could you endure staying in the apartment for a while? I'll make sure Mia accepts you as soon as possible. Hearing my agreement, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Can I make one request? Speak. Since you don't intend to officially bring me back into the Upton family yet, please don't force me to learn all those aristocratic rules right away. I know you're the principal dance officer, but I have no interest whatsoever in dancing or piano. The Upton family's guilt toward me is only temporary. Before long, Mr. and Mrs. Upton will decide I lack proper aristocratic manners and respectable talents. That I'll disgrace the Upton name, and force me into all sorts of etiquette classes. I have half a year left until the college entrance exam. I hope you can transfer me to the best school in J City so I can receive an education. Alright, the Uptons exchanged glances and agreed to my request. After all, outsiders didn't know the Uptons had a long-lost daughter. Even if I was crude and ill-mannered, it wouldn't disgrace the Upton family. As for the school transfer, the Uptons assumed I had grown up in the countryside with poor grades and held no expectations for me. As long as I didn't insist on going home, they let me do whatever I wanted. Before leaving, I shed tears again, saying I couldn't bear to leave home and wanted to reunite with my family. Mrs. Upton gave me a bank card, calling it compensation for me. The card burned so hot my fingertips trembled, and I nearly dropped it. For the first 18 years, I shed countless tears. When bullied in the orphanage, I would use tears to show weakness, hoping to avoid a few punches. While working part-time and nearly assaulted by my boss, I sobbed uncontrollably as I defended myself with a shattered beer bottle. Seeing the 6-digit figure in my bank account suddenly felt ironic. Turns out, hypocritical tears can be so valuable. The transfer procedures were quickly completed, and I enrolled in Mia's school but was placed in a different class. George accompanied me to register. And when classmates recognized him as the CEO of Upton Group and Mia's older brother, they all looked curious. Big brother Upton, what's your relationship with the new transfer student? George paused for a few seconds. She's a child from a distant relative of mine. I see. I thought she looked a bit like you and wondered if the Upton family had another daughter. No, he quickly denied, afraid of any misunderstanding. Thank you, cousin. I took the bag from his hand. Hearing my address, his expression became very unnatural, and he fled as if escaping. Before class, the homeroom teacher introduced my name to the whole class. Through the gazes of my classmates, I could sense their dissatisfaction. I completely understood their feelings. Everyone who got into this school went through the selection process of the high school entrance exam, while I got in through connections. Their dissatisfaction was completely justified. It's okay, I'll soon prove to them that my learning ability is second to none. It's not that I'm arrogant, but because I grew up in the province with the most intense academic competition, and even in that environment, I still managed to rank in the top 50 province-wide. If Mia hadn't caused me to become disabled in my past life, preventing me from taking the college entrance exam, I would have definitely gotten into a top university. I found an empty seat and sat down. My desk mate, who had been lying on the table, slowly lifted his head and said, "Hello, new desk mate. My name is Jacob." Facing his face, my expression froze for a moment. Jacob, one of the few people who showed me kindness in my past life, in my previous life, after I became disabled. I went to the rooftop for some air. Jacob misunderstood and thought I was trying to commit suicide. He saved me and urged me not to throw my life away for someone unworthy. "New desk mate, I know I'm good looking, but you don't have to stare this long," he said narcissistically, touching his face. "My name is Pearl. It's so nice to see you again." The pace of learning at the new school is quite intense, and it did feel challenging at first. I had to rely on solving numerous practice problems to improve quickly. Countless evening study sessions. I was always the last one to go home. That evening study session, all my classmates had left, leaving only me still buried in solving problems. Mia walked into the classroom, stood in front of my desk, and flashed me a provocative smile. "Still solving problems, sis. Thinking this will get mom and dad's attention and have them bring you back to the Upton family." She thought I was working so hard just to get my parents to care about me. What an idiot. I'm telling you, as long as I don't nod, you'll never think of going home, and mom and dad will never acknowledge you. What does being the real heiress matter? Mom and dad have raised me for over 10 years. The bond between us isn't something you can break. To the Upton family, you're the outsider. Don't even think about fitting into this family. Raised for over 10 years. Yet still just an adopted daughter. I looked up at her. "Mia, do I need to remind you of the difference between an adopted daughter and a biological one?" Her eyes burned with anger as I leisurely picked up a pen. "I forgot to remind you, everything you just said was recorded by this voice recorder. What do you think would happen if I gave this pen to mom, dad, and brother and let them hear it?" Her face turned pale, then paler. She tried to snatch the pen. But I pushed her against the wall and grabbed her throat. Images of her setting the fire that killed me in my past life flashed through my mind, filling my eyes with hatred. I really wanted to strangle her, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't waste my precious life on someone like her. I let go of her and threw the pen in front of her. It was just an utterly ordinary pen, completely incapable of recording anything. "Keep such family all to yourself. I won't fight you for them." With that, I slung my backpack over my shoulder and walked out of the classroom, realizing she'd been tricked. She lost her composure and started shouting curses behind me. It was really late that day, and I stood at the school gate for a long time trying to hail a taxi but couldn't get one. "New desk mate, where do you live? I'll take you home," Jacob said as he rode past on his bike, stopping in front of me. "Thank you," I replied without refusing, giving him my address and climbing onto the back of his bicycle. When he heard the name of the apartment, his eyes widened in surprise. "No way, the Upton family is supposed to be wealthy. How could they let you live in such a shabby and tiny apartment? Do you know about my relationship with the Uptons?" I heard rumors about the Uptons finding their biological daughter, but I thought it was just gossip. When I saw how much the Upton brother resembled you that day, I guessed it was true. He sensed that I didn't want to talk about the Uptons and quickly changed the subject. "Hold on tight, I'm taking you home." He dropped me off at the apartment entrance, called my name, and said the same words as in my previous life. "Life is lived for yourself to see. Never be sad over people who aren't worth it." Soon, the mock exams arrived. Out of a total score of 750, I scored 680, 20 points lower than my peak score in my past life. My preparation still wasn't enough. But it was enough to pleasantly surprise teachers, classmates, and even the grade-level director. At least a top-tier university. With a bit more effort, you might even have a shot at Harvard. Several teachers praised me endlessly, seeing me as promising talent while worrying I might encounter any setbacks. "Pearl, what are your parents' phone numbers? I'll give them a call to discuss your studies. There are only a few months left, and we need to make sure your parents are prepared." My parents are both dead. I didn't want Upton's parents to find out about my grades and then pretend to care about me. The homeroom teacher didn't ask any further questions after hearing that. A few days after this mock exam, it would be New Year. I stayed holed up in my apartment buried in problem sets, turning down invitations from the Upton parents to spend the holidays with them by claiming I was too busy studying, until George knocked on my apartment door. I had no choice but to go with him to the Uptons. The Upton household was bustling with New Year's festivities. Wave after wave of gift-bearing guests arriving. Mia wore a beautiful little dress and performed a ballet dance in front of everyone. They all praised her, saying she looked like an elegant white swan. Mrs. Upton arranged for me to stay in the attic on the second floor. She was afraid the guests might see me. someone unfit for such occasions, and embarrassed the Upton family. She even sugarcoated it by saying she was worried I wouldn't be comfortable in such settings. Watching Mia gracefully dancing downstairs, I couldn't understand why the Upton family had brought me back. They clearly didn't like me and didn't want me at such events, yet hypocritically insisted on bringing me here for a so-called family reunion. I sat in the attic, listening to the servants whispering, who knows why the master and madam brought her back. She's nothing like Miss Mia, so talented, she's probably never even seen such grand occasions and wouldn't know how to speak properly outside. She'll probably leave right after the New Year's Eve dinner. No one in this family cares about her. Miss Mia is the true mistress of this house. How boring, like NPCs. I know these servants were deliberately arranged by Mia to say these things to me. I've heard them countless times in my past life. Every time it's the same script. Can't they update their dialogue system? Mrs. Upton draped a scarf over me, trying to bridge the distance between us. Pearl, only Uncle James's family is left downstairs. They won't stay much longer. Then what? My gaze was filled with inquiry. After they've all left, can I appear in the hall? Mrs. Upton's smile froze on her face. Mom is just worried you might not be used to such occasions. If you'd like, next time Mia can bring you along. Great. Isn't Uncle James's family still downstairs? I'll go down and say hello to them. I smiled, exposing her lie. Sure enough, she quickly grabbed my hand. Let's wait until next time. Mia is enough for this occasion. I didn't press further to expose her. Taking off the heavy, uncomfortable scarf, I found a quiet spot to work on practice problems. Mrs. Upton watched my retreating figure and suddenly felt a chill run through her body. Just an 18-year-old kid, yet psychologically formidable, terrifyingly so, as if effortlessly seeing through her disguise. She even felt that her own daughter was watching her performance with a scrutinizing and appreciative gaze. How could such feelings arise? Mrs. Upton comforted herself, thinking it must be because they hadn't been in touch for too long, causing their mother-daughter bond to grow distant. After receiving all the guests, Mrs. Upton took my hand and led me to sit on the sofa in the living room. George spoke of things I couldn't understand, secrets shared exclusively between him and the sister he had doted on for over a decade. Mia pestered Mr. Upton for a newly released crocodile skin bag. Mr. Upton scolded her for being spoiled but still thoughtfully asked what other gifts she wanted. When he saw me approaching, he forced a smile and asked, "Pearl, do you want an exotic leather bag?" "Sure, thank you." I didn't know what brand it was, but it must have been very expensive. The boss lady where I used to work part-time had one. She deliberately showed it off in front of me, saying that even if I were sold, I couldn't afford a single accessory from that bag. Mr. Upton asked a few more boring questions, fulfilling his duty of concern towards me, before continuing his conversation with Mia. I could feel the air around me turning awkward the moment I sat down. Such a melodramatic scene. I really wanted to find an excuse to leave, but I couldn't think of one. Fortunately, Mia delivered it to my door for me. "Sis, I had 2 pairs of lambskin shoes custom made. I'm giving you 1 pair so we can have matching shoes and look even more like real sisters." The maid brought up 2 boxes. "Our shoe sizes are the same. The left pair is yours." Mia flashed her harmless smile and pushed the shoes toward me. "Try them on quickly to see if they fit." The Uptons praised her for being sensible and considerate, then turned their expectant gazes toward me. I recalled the dance shoes from my past life that had left me disabled. Wasn't it Mia who had secretly slipped razor blades into them? "Thank you, Mia, let's try them on together." While she went to change her socks, I swapped the positions of the 2 shoeboxes. The Uptons noticed my action, but since Mia had said the shoes were identical, they didn't question it further. "Sister, you've definitely never worn shoes this soft before. Let me show you." My foot. With a startled cry, bright red blood began seeping through the surface of the lambskin shoe. The servants rushed forward immediately. "There's a razor blade in the shoe." The Upton household was in chaos. "Did you put the blade in?" George grabbed my wrist, shedding his usual gentle and polite big brother demeanor. A barrage of accusations came crashing down on me. "From the day you entered the Upton family, have you been plotting to reclaim your identity as the Upton heiress? You couldn't stand Mia receiving all the family's affection, so you resorted to hurting her this way." "Idiot," I cursed inwardly. "I just swapped the positions of the 2 shoeboxes. Besides that, did I have any other chance to touch them?" George released my wrist and frowned. "You're saying Mia planted the blade, that she wanted to harm you? Impossible. She's such a kind and gentle person. She would never do something like that. Besides, If she really hurt you, she'd be caught immediately. Why would she use such an obvious scheme? Because she knows everyone in this family would take her side, I said coldly, staring at him. George froze, meeting my resolute gaze, his expression turning flustered and guilty. It wasn't that he believed me, but he knew Mia well, aware that she was capable of anything with the family's indulgence. Snapping out of it, he immediately apologized. I'm sorry, I was just too anxious. No need to apologize. Since this family doesn't welcome me, I'll leave. With tears in my eyes, I stormed out the door. To perform this scene well, I stayed up all night watching several tearjerkers and cried harder than if my own parents had died. After ending this farce, I took a taxi back to the apartment. I ran into Jacob at the door. What are you doing here? The holiday at home feels too quiet. I'd like some more company to liven things up. Since you're back, keep me company. With that, he pulled me into his family car. I still have 2 test papers left to finish. Do them tomorrow. I'll help you with as many as you need tomorrow. Arriving at Anderson's house, I saw what Jacob had called quiet. Parents, grandparents, uncles and aunts, all the relatives gathered in the house. It's more lively with more people during the holidays, he added. Thank you. I knew he meant well. Not wanting me to spend New Year's Eve alone in a quiet apartment, the atmosphere at the Andersons was warm and joyful. At first, I wasn't used to it, but their overwhelming hospitality won me over. Drink this rib soup quickly. It'll warm you up in no time. Mrs. Anderson served me soup. That little girl is so adorable, just a bit too thin. Grandma Anderson handed me a handful of candies. Everyone cared about me, yet they were all careful, protecting my self-esteem. No one asked about my family or parents, as if I were already part of the Anderson family. After dinner, Jacob took me to set off fireworks together, and when I wasn't paying attention, a pair of large, warm gloves had already been slipped onto my hands. Aren't you wearing gloves? Do you want to get frostbite? Pearl, you're going to Harvard someday and live a very successful life. Can't you take better care of yourself? I looked at him, nodding vigorously. This was the happiest New Year's Eve I've ever had. When I woke up the next day, my phone was flooded with missed calls. George and the Uptons had called countless times. Those glaring red missed call notifications were hard to ignore. Whatever, I deleted them all with one tap. A WeChat notification popped up. George had transferred me 200,000 yuan. The moment I clicked receive payment, George's call came through immediately. I'm sorry, it was my fault for misunderstanding you yesterday. I was just too anxious, and what I said wasn't intentional. Pearl, please forgive me. Okay, the doctor said Mia's foot injury will take at least 3 months to heal, and even after recovery, she won't be able to dance for the rest of her life. I'm not satisfied with this outcome. 3 months is too lenient. In my previous life, my Achilles tendon was severed, leaving me permanently disabled. What's with the razor blade in the shoe? I asked. These shoes were custom made. The designer forgot to remove the tools placed inside them. I've already filed a complaint against this designer. Stupid pig X2. George spent the whole night thinking and came up with such an unconvincing lie. I no longer held any hope of hearing the truth from him and was about to hang up when George spoke. Pearl, did brother say something too harsh yesterday that hurt you? I paused. If I had been the one hurt yesterday, would you still think it was an accident, or are you just going to repeat the same excuses you gave today? George, Mia was just careless. She definitely didn't mean to harm you. Before he could finish, I hung up the phone. I counted my assets again. Altogether, I had 500,000, which was more than enough for my university tuition and living expenses. I'm also good at managing finances, and the remaining money is enough for me to use as my first startup capital. Thinking of this, I took out my phone, deleted and blocked all contact information of the Upton family, packed my luggage, and moved into the school dormitory. Time flew by quickly, and there was only 1 month left until the college entrance examination. During those months, I received countless calls from the Upton family. They called me using different phone numbers, but I blocked each one of them. After months of hard work, my grades have stabilized within the top 5 of my grade level. Both my homeroom teacher and the grade level director have given me their utmost support, hoping I can make it into Harvard. The entire senior year held a parents' meeting, where the homeroom teacher communicated with parents about the final month's preparations. Mrs. Upton walked into my classroom. Where is Pearl's seat? The homeroom teacher looked puzzled. Mrs. Upton, you've come to the wrong classroom. Mia's classroom is upstairs. I'm here this time representing Pearl's parents. The teacher grew even more confused. Pearl said both her parents passed away. What's your relationship with Pearl? Hearing her own daughter curse her as deceased with her own ears, Mrs. Upton took half a step back, nearly losing her balance. She forced herself to remain composed and walked out of the classroom. She found me by inquiring about my dorm room. Pearl, how could you curse your own parents to die? Mom knows we've wronged you in the past, so coming to your parent-teacher meeting this time is our way of acknowledging you. Are you still going to hold a grudge against us, idiot? I glanced at her. So what? You coming to my parent-teacher meeting means I should be grateful and consider it some great favor. I suggest you get your brain checked. I suspect zombies have eaten it all. Mrs. Upton looked shocked. You used to be so well-behaved. How did you become like this? I've always been this way. I frowned. You brought me back. But you never treated me as your own child. Yet you expect me to treat you like real parents. Don't you find that ridiculous? You knew full well Mia's suicidal act was just a show, yet you chose to indulge her. Who are you playing the doting mother for now? Mrs. Upton clutched her chest. You've disappointed me terribly. Mia was right. You grew up outside, uneducated, vulgar, savage, with a wretched character. I scoffed. Feeling it was time to reveal this secret to her, Mrs. Upton, have you never wondered why Mia and I were switched? You were in a premium maternity ward when you gave birth, separated by several floors from the regular wards. How could a switch happen so easily? What do you mean? Mrs. Upton's body trembled slightly. You might want to look into the blood relationship between Mia and Mr. Upton. It would be quite revealing. In my previous life, after becoming disabled, I accidentally discovered that Mia was Mr. Upton's illegitimate child with his mistress. The mistress didn't want her child raised outside the family, so she chose to have a cesarean section on the same day Mrs. Upton gave birth, bribing the nurse to switch the two babies. After I was switched into her hands, she refused to raise me and abandoned me at the orphanage gate. Mrs. Upton had been raising her husband's illegitimate daughter with his mistress all along. Mrs. Upton refused to believe it. Taking half a step back before fleeing as if escaping, I watched her retreating figure and shook my head. When faced with unbearable truths, people's first instinct is always to flee, just like I refused to believe in my past life that my biological parents didn't love me. Did you hear? Mia is Upton's illegitimate child from an affair. The mistress deliberately swapped her baby with Upton's heiress. Jacob came over to share the latest gossip about the Upton family with me. Mrs. Upton went mad with rage when she found out the truth. I guessed right. Even if Mrs. Upton didn't believe my words at the time, she must have planted seeds of doubt in her heart. She followed the clues and found Mr. Upton's mistress. The couple argued fiercely, even coming to blows, completely losing the dignity befitting their wealthy family. Jacob knew I no longer cared about the Uptons, so he eagerly shared jokes about their family with me. I listened for a while but soon lost interest. Poking his shoulder with my pen, there are only 3 days left until the college entrance exam. Go over the key points I highlighted for you again. Okay, he replied obediently, like a well-behaved puppy, and promptly took out his notes to review. While I was explaining his mistakes, my phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. Hello, it's me, Pearl. I heard Mrs. Upton's voice as she was about to hang up, and she immediately spoke. Don't hang up. Can you say a few words to Mom? What is it, Pearl? You were right. Mia is nothing but a bastard child. I actually raised her for 18 years, making you suffer so much outside. I've already kicked her out. I interrupted her. Mrs. Upton, if you called just to spout this nonsense, seeking comfort or understanding, you've got the wrong person. I won't offer you comfort because, from my perspective, you don't deserve sympathy. Mom did wrong by you, but I was also deceived by Mia and her mother. Can't you find it in your heart to forgive me just once, for the sake of our mother-daughter bond? After saying this, she broke into violent coughing. No, I replied calmly. First, you gave birth to me but failed in your duty to raise me. There was never any mother-daughter bond between us. Second, you brought me back, yet you favored your adopted daughter and deliberately treated me poorly. It was you who first chose to abandon the chance to mend our relationship. Third, your remorse isn't genuine. You only noticed me, your biological daughter whom you once discarded, because you felt deceived and humiliated. Not all mistakes deserve forgiveness. After this phone call, Mrs. Upton didn't try contacting me with different numbers again. She knew I wouldn't answer. She transferred a large sum of money into my account and sent me many gifts, saying she wanted to make up for the 18 years she had missed. I refused everything, not wanting any further connection with her. Before the college entrance exams, Anderson's family elders got Jacob and me each a bracelet to bless us. May we know what we've studied and guess right what we haven't. Perhaps it was the bracelet's magic, but I performed exceptionally well in the exams, became the top scholar. The Harvard admissions officer found me and finally breathed a sigh of relief when they saw I had listed Harvard as my first choice on the application. Pearl, when you get to Harvard, will you still want to be friends with me? Jacob had applied to a police academy in City J. With the two schools separated by a distance of over 10 kilometers, of course, we'll be friends for life. Great. Then I'll strive to become the best police officer and protect you forever. After the graduation ceremony, George found me. Too many things have happened in the Upton family recently. Mom has been bedridden with illness, and Mia was also kicked out of the house. She blames herself for what happened to Mom and slit her wrists last night. I frowned. Not this trick again. Did she really slit her wrists this time? I gave a sarcastic smile and called him out. Or is it just like last time? Another tactic you taught her to use against me. George stood frozen in place, his voice trembling. How did you know? A wicked and stupid bastard. I didn't want to say more and turned to leave, but he grabbed my hand. I was just afraid Mia might get hurt. I wanted you two to take a break. Mia is a gentle and kind girl. You've always misunderstood her. If you'd just let go of the past, you could get along well with her. Wouldn't it be nice for the whole family to live together happily? I watched him coldly, recalling how in my previous life, despite overwhelming evidence of my injury and disability, George still shamelessly lied through his teeth, calling it all a misunderstanding. Even after I reported it to the police, he told them I had persecution delusions and that everything I said was insane rambling. If that's how it is, then let him truly experience what his supposedly gentle and kind-hearted little sister is really like. Fine, I said with a cold smirk. Actually, Mia just asked me to meet her at the school warehouse to clear up our misunderstanding in person. Why don't we go together? George nodded eagerly, his eyes filled with excitement, as if this home full of schemes and lies was about to return to its former happiness and harmony. When we reached the warehouse door, I excused myself to use the restroom and let George go in first. I sent Mia a text message telling her I had arrived, then turned and walked away. That night, I saw the news about President Upton being disfigured by a fire. Half of George's face was ruined. Fortunately, the school security guards found him in time, otherwise he would have been burned to death like me in my previous life. From the dashing George U to a hideous figure, the golden boy fell into the mud and couldn't accept it. Wanting to commit suicide, I sent George a WeChat message to mock him. Are the rumors online true? Mia is such a gentle and kind person. How could she possibly commit arson? I heard you're planning to report her to the police. Why not let the past go? Isn't it better for families to live together happily and peacefully? See, when Mia hurt me, they urged me to be tolerant and forgiving, even trying to pardon a murderer on my behalf. But when they were the ones harmed, all that compassion and mercy vanished instantly. All members of the Upton family share the same selfishness and indifference deep down. Mia was sentenced to 12 years for arson. Scandals surrounding the Upton family spread like wildfire, causing their stock prices to plummet. Mr. Upton suffered a devastating blow and could no longer sustain the Upton legacy, leading to the complete collapse of the company. All of this was told to me later by Jacob, and by then, I had already set off towards my future, clutching my Harvard acceptance letter. I never contacted the Upton family again. I heard they searched everywhere for me later, just wanting to say sorry to me in person. Jacob told me, the hospital said Mrs. Upton only had 2 days left, constantly longing to see her biological daughter one last time. I waved my hand. Their daughter is Mia, who is still serving time in prison, so it's unlikely they'll get to see her. Some mistakes or misunderstandings don't need reconciliation. Never meeting again is the best outcome. After hearing the two stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.